I was staring at this strange sheet, not really understanding what it was. That was all. I didn't go after it, nor did I ridicule it. The fact was that the boring view was the ceiling of my own room, but I didn't realize that for a fairly long time. Yes, I thought I had been dreaming, but I actually been staring at the ceiling the whole time. Lethargy induced by the voices of the cicadas. Even after I realized I was awake, I couldn't draw forth the energy to sit up. Everything I could see, everything I could hear, everything was like a television broadcast that had already been ended. It was hot, so hot I could choke on the heat. My back was moist with night sweats, and it felt gross. Unable to endure it any longer, I tossed in my futon. And finally, blood started coursing from my brain. I lazily recalled the long day I had yesterday. The reality is I lay here listening to the voices of the cicadas, and yesterday so different from it. In order to kill Satoko's uncle, I had rehearsed, formulated a plan, and dug a hole. It was very hot, and I was tired, wasn't I? And when evening came, I went to school and called him out on the phone. I panicked for a moment when he asked where the police station was. But it worked out. Okay, we don't need like a recap of this, Keiichi. We know what happened. And then I waited and swooped down. I couldn't remember anymore what sort of emotions I let control my body. In any case, it didn't go smoothly, but I did it. It was very hard to dig the hole for the body. That feel of the rain pelting down on me. I don't think I'll ever forget it. The rain, the mud, and the sprays of blood. The sensation of floundering in a swamp. When I met Takano-san on the way home, that wasn't good, no matter how I interpreted it. It was the most misfortunate and uncalculated thing that had happened that night. Everything would have been perfect, if only I had encountered her. Well, I guess look at the bright side, Keiichi. You're gonna learn soon enough that Takano is no longer gonna be any problem to you either. Unless she has fucked us royally and left like some evidence towards Teppei being killed as well. Before she died. I was just riding my bike, with my shovel in one hand, through the downpour, utterly soaked. Unless you're gonna say that Keiichi is the one who killed Takano by making her burn in hell. I doubt it. Not only was Keiichi like lacking any energy after all that has happened, for him to go for another kill, like it's physically impossible. Not only that, but Keiichi had no reason to kill Takano in the previous chapters either, so no. If the game wanted us to fool us into thinking that Keiichi is the one who did it, nah, it will be really hard to convince me. Unless some other split personality with its own set of energy would just pop in and just do the murdering for the rest of the day while Keiichi himself was resting, you know, like when you switch personalities, the other one is sleeping while the other is doing the deed as such, and you would recuperate your energy. Like after the murder of Teppei, while the other personality would go after Takano, and Keiichi himself would never know, but I doubt it. And I know I've been talking about the whole parallel thingy with Satoshi and Keiichi, but again, I want to mention that I don't think of Satoshi as someone who would go to such extent. No. Granted, in the first chapter we have learned that Satoshi has been going all because of the demons around him in similar fashion to Keiichi, like in the first chapter, so maybe he went complete bonkers. And if he were to be inside Keiichi and all that, he would be that fucked up version of Satoshi. Actually, okay, I guess I can't throw the possibility that maybe a fucked up version of Satoshi would be inside of Keiichi, in the sense that Satoshi would see Teppei as a bloody demon, and he would totally want Teppei to be dead. So, of course, he would need the help of Keiichi for this one. There was no way someone could surmise I was a murderer burying a body just from that information. Not that I was thinking calmly, napping under the morning sun. That's what I thought. Still, the more I think about Takano-san's eyes, it seemed like she understood. Takano-san, she knew that I killed someone, buried them, and that I'd been on my way home. Takano-san wouldn't gain anything from sending me out to the police. In fact, I think that's part of what I was thinking, like, initially. That, okay, Takano is gonna talk to Keiichi at the shrine and just plant, like, seeds of suspicions and seeds of murdering and, you know, whatever chaotic seeds Takano would plant inside Keiichi in order for him to go and kill Teppei, and that way the murdering of this year would succeed. In which case, would Takano really need to kill Tomitake anymore? Because you would think that, okay, Takano would kill Tomitake so that there would be a body this year. But if Keiichi was gonna do the murdering this year anyway, did Takano really need to do that? No. In which case, yeah. Thinking of the possibility that Takano would kill Tomitake just to continue the curse of Oyashiro, just that? No, there needs to be an extra reason. Tomitake had to die this year, not just as a extra, like, there was a body needed this year, not just that. He needed to die. Now, Keiichi going after Teppei, that might be considered a bonus in Takano's eyes. I don't know, it's something that I need to think about. If Takano is behind all these killings, it kind of makes me question if Takano had in mind to make Keiichi kill Teppei or not. Or Takano, what Takano really wanted all this time was to plant the seeds of the Sonozakis being the ones responsible behind this, because that's where the discussion started, that the Sonozakis may be the ones responsible for this. That's what Takano told Keiichi at the shrine, and then that's what made Keiichi go to Mion at her home and talk about this. It's more than likely that all Takano wanted to do was to create suspicion of the Sonozakis. That's it. Maybe she didn't have in mind that Keiichi would go that far to kill Teppei. I don't know. I crossed such a bridge to get my tranquil life back, and I finally achieved it as a result. But now, for the rest of my life, for all the tranquil days starting today, and I have to live in fear of when they could suddenly end. I may have twisted my ankle, dulled from total exhaustion. The fact that I couldn't make the snap judgment I needed to, and I regretted it more and more as time went on. You didn't have a choice, Keiichi Maebara. Another example of parallelism. You didn't have any choice at the time. You were tired. You were a mess. Even if you had made the decision, you might not have been able to kill her. She might have just beaten you instead. In that sense, parting ways uneventually could have been the safer option. No matter how sharp Takano-san's intuition was, she had no proof. Her suspecting me didn't amount to evidence by itself. Unless she were to go ahead and dig, like try to find the corpse in the forest, but I don't know, it would be hard for her to do so. She wouldn't know where it was hidden.
理屈じゃ分かってるさ。でも、だからって何の心配もないってわけじゃないだろう。
Just worry about it when the time comes. Now isn't the time to be worrying. It's the time to be smiling, right? You accomplished so much, just to gain a new life starting today, didn't you? Now you should be happy at this new morning. If remembering the past is too hard for you, then just consider everything up until yesterday as having never happened. You said so yourself. You didn't bury it all like it never happened. Well, your wish came true. Everything before yesterday never happened. So be happy, Keiichi, my brother.
Why?
I stuck up my hands lazily. Felt a little silly for me to be the one doing it after murder. I heaved a sigh from deep in my belly. That sigh got my lungs moving. It felt like I hadn't been breathing until just now. It was enough to admonish myself over. All the dice that could be thrown already had been. And the numbers that turned up weren't bad at all. If I lost with those numbers, then I just have to give up, I guess. I grabbed the chest of my pajamas and flapped it back and forth. Cool air flowed over my sweating body. Okay, nothing before yesterday happened. Nothing. Nothing at all. I forget it all. Yesterday, it was all a dream. What time was it? About midday. Getting myself up and going to school this late seemed kind of absurd. But I needed to go. Felt like going to school would be the first step into my peaceful new life. Yeah, I'm sorry, Keiichi. Even if I were to try to pretend to think of this as a new life where everybody would smile from now on, I can't because, again, what are the parents thinking right now? Like, how are you gonna explain to them, like, what you did yesterday? Like, where you have been? And especially the girls. Ooh, what are they even gonna think? I didn't care how late it was. I would go. I'd go to school right now and get back to the life I had retaken as soon as I could. Like, I'm very, very curious. My lazy body immediately became louder at the thought. I rolled up out of the futon, bounced onto my knees, then leaped upright.
10.0.
Alright. I stuck on my chest with pride at my gymnast-like pose, then took a deep breath of fresh air. The brisk morning air had been gone for long, replaced by the crisp air of summer. Downstairs, I got a stern talking to me by my mother. Where were you last night? When did you get back? You need to tell me when you won't be home for dinner, things like that. But considering the importance of what I accomplished this day, a little scolding was no problem. In fact, it felt like the sort of thing that would happen in such a peaceful life. I guess you could go with some explanation for, I guess you could say that you're lucky that you're still a child, Keiichi. You could just go with some stupid ideas that you were with your friends and you were playing in the forest or something like that, and that's why you were getting so dirty. Like, especially during the raining and such. Something like that. It's the girls that I feel like you're gonna have to... And like, I feel like it's gonna be a problem. I listened with an irresponsible smile and stepped out into the sun high overhead. It was around the time lunch break would be ending. Everyone probably be worrying about me. I didn't go to the festival, and I wasn't at school. Actually, you know what? Maybe you could just say that you were sick. Eh? I mean, that's a safe option, I guess. You could say that you were sick, you couldn't go to the festival, and you couldn't go to the school either today. Well, maybe they weren't too worried about it, since they would have gotten a small piece of news, but a happy one, from Satoko today. Yes, a small piece of news, that her uncle hadn't come home last night. Satoko will probably live her days in nervous tension for a while, thinking he might still come home. But eventually, those days would end, and finally, Satoko too would realize her uncle was never coming back. And then Rika-chan would quietly invite her. She would say, "You can live with me again." And then everything would be back to normal. Kinda. I mean, let's not forget that 2 children living by themselves in a house, it has a sense of sadness given the past, but I guess it's at least better than the abusive household that Satoko was living in the past days. Our lives would go back to how they were before that man appeared. Satoko would start wearing that extraordinary smile, complete with those protruding canines, and fool everyone with those traps she was so proud of. I'd probably be her first target out of everyone, but I wouldn't be mad. In fact, I might actually shed tears of joy at the return of something so normal. Satoko, she'd gradually grow back into that meddlesome personality of hers. I mean, my lack of useful life skills was already completely exposed. I wondered if I'd ever be a match for Satoko. But that would be such a pleasant thing to see too. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, what? What did you just say later? I wondered if I'd ever be a match for Satoko. In terms of useful life skills, okay. I was thinking of something there. Something that's probably not appropriate for that kind of shipping. Like, might as well just snip it in the butt. For me personally, that is. Let's just keep it to friendship when it comes to Keiichi and Satoko. At best, a sister and brother kind of friendship type thing. Nothing more than that, I'd say. I think? Yeah. And with such warm fuzzy predictions, I didn't feel bad for going to school so late. In fact, I wanted to run there now to get there as soon as I could. Instead, I decided to savor the peacefulness of just going to school like normal, without running. The world I'd obtained for myself, that gave me joy just by walking like this. Yeah, the world beginning on this very day was something I had won. Without that monumental feat yesterday, I would never have been able to come to school so cheerfully today. And the school gate came into sight. Just then, I heard the principal ringing the bell to mark the end of lunch break. It was clear, refreshing sound. I stopped despite myself, and let myself take it in. Tap. I stopped so. With a noise, the blessedness I was feeling throughout my whole body withdrew into any pore it could find. And as if to replace it, I felt like hundreds of fairy caterpillars were climbing up my feet. I turned back, but of course, nobody was there. Oh boy. I get the feeling that the curse is starting to take effect on Keiichi once again in similar fashion to Chapter 1. Now, however, it kind of makes me think a little bit. Because, okay, it kind of made me think that what happened in Chapter 1 was that somebody was indeed there. Like, behind Keiichi, like they were sneaking. Like, behind Keiichi and looking at him and such. And that's what made Keiichi think that there were like demons coming after him and such. Like, in the first chapter's case, it could very well have been Rena stalking Keiichi like all the damn time and such. But what about now? Can it be the same case? Either it's Rena or Satoko? Or maybe there was nobody. And a part of this, like, illness that is going on in Keiichi's mind is making him think that there's somebody out there, even though there is nobody. Like, truly nobody. Just hallucinations of demons and such, like, floating around, like sounds just popping in, even though there is nobody there. Like, bottom line, it could very well be that there was nobody there, like, behind Keiichi in Chapter 1. When he was having his breakdowns and when he was like having worries and paranoia, keeping his bat with him, and now all this is happening. Which, you know, once again, it kind of makes sense. I mean, you had like an entire day of worrying about the murder of Teppei, and you actually done it. That's a lot of stress, that's for sure. So I was thinking if something like this would start kicking in once again. If my thoughts from the first chapter are true. Stress. A single footstep could have easily been my imagination. But the footstep felt so ominous. That extra footstep I had heard, after seeing Takano-san off last night. With everything that happened on that insane night, I didn't mind something like that happening once. Unless it could very well be somebody, and that somebody would be Satoko, that she would not be happy about what happened here with Teppei and such. Hell, she might have been one to witness the murder of Teppei in the forest. Well, the main issue with that would be that if Satoko witnessed the murder of Teppei, then there's no way that he would have been like she would have been able to catch on to Keiichi all the way back home, because Keiichi and Takano went with a car all the way back to Keiichi's home. There's no way for Satoko to have caught up with Keiichi all the way back home for Keiichi to witness that weird sensation of footsteps behind him. Unless she went with a bike, but I get the feeling that that wouldn't be the case. But let's say that that were the case. Then, okay, I'm thinking of this possibility then. Satoko did not witness the murder of Teppei. However, let's think of this sequence of events. Satoko was at the festival, and then after the festival ended, she went back home. She notices that Teppei is not there. And because Teppei is not there, she may start to suspect something. And it may have something to do with Keiichi not being at the festival. And maybe something in her mind makes her think, uh-oh, no, don't tell me that Keiichi did the deed. And so, Satoko would go to Keiichi's house to see if he's actually there. That actually makes more sense in my eyes. And if that's the case, she would notice that, wait a minute, that car, Keiichi is inside that car. Apparently Takano drove Keiichi all the way back home. And that's where Keiichi would notice some possible footsteps behind, because Satoko was there hiding. And same case here as well. Could very well be possible. Especially since Satoko would notice that Keiichi would have a shovel, in the middle of the night, when he went back home. Yeah, it'd been a hell of a night after all. In fact, having just one hallucination was pretty fortunate. I guess we're gonna find out soon enough. It kinda depends if Satoko is already inside the school building or not. I guess we shall see. But those footsteps should have ended with yesterday. So if I heard them again today, there was really only one thing that meant. Last night still wasn't over. It was still going. Still. That insane night. Forever. The step I heard, just that one extra footstep, was quietly ridiculing the nonsensical notion that the road starting today was completely different from the one that ended yesterday. Well, nonetheless, no matter what I'm thinking about over here, the chaos is gonna start yet again in Keiichi's mind. He would go around with a metal bat yet again and start losing his mind. My classmates playing in the schoolyard all vanished inside like the tide going out. When I approached the school, it felt like that warm, fuzzy scene had ended. It didn't feel good. At the entrance, I took a quick look in everyone's shoeboxes. Satoko Hojo. She was here. Okay. Mion was here too. And Rena, of course. Even Rika-chan was here. Tomita-kun and Kumara-kun were here, in fact, but I didn't see any missing classmates. If there were shoes missing, they had to be my own. I took my shoes off and stuck them in, then took out some slippers. There wasn't a single pair left in the shoe boxes anymore. With that, they returned to their rightful state. But as I stepped up onto the wooden floor, I noticed there was just one pair of slippers left. Huh? Who's?
Hojo Satoshi.
Satoshi, who had never been to school since, disappearing last year. Until now, we had committed the exact same act of violence. But I guess in the very end, we went differently. You couldn't make it to school. But here I am. I didn't repeat the same mistake you made. I wasn't about to let myself feel superior about that. In fact, I felt an odd sense of familiarity with him. A misfortunate bond with someone that I've never met due to following the same fate. I headed down the hallway towards the usual classroom. It felt like it had been a whole year since coming here. Hey, did you forget Keiichi Maibara? Satoshi Hojo didn't really disappear on the night of what the Nagashi did here. Yeah, that's true. If you were to think about it, about your fate being different, I'd say you should wait a little bit more until you say that you are in the safe zone, Mr. Maibara. Mr. Maebashi. Satoshi Hojo. Oh my god. I wonder if, okay, clearly Keiichi did not think about this, but what if subconsciously Keiichi thought of the name Maebashi, like, on the phone, like, in that split second, and it was because of Satoshi, because they both end in she. I wonder if it's because of that. Satoshi Hojo disappeared a few days later, on Satoko's birthday. Satoko's birthday, if I was right. I didn't know what day it was, but I couldn't say for sure I'd avoided Satoshi's failure, unless I remained here past that day. I was still living in that night of insanity. The teacher still hadn't come to the classroom. The other door clattered open, the one the teacher wouldn't use, so everyone turned at once to see who had arrived. Everyone looked pretty vacant. Suppose I'll greet them.
Ohayo, Shokun. 出迎えご苦労であるぞよ。
Silence. I started to think I'd fallen flat. Someone finally started laughing for me.
おはよう、ケイちゃん。今朝も飛ばしてるね。
飛ばしてるね。ケイチくん、まだお祭り気分が抜けてないのかもしれない。は
My lovely babies. Hearing me on everyone's cheerful voices made me realize how dumb those dark feelings I'd been having at the entrance really were.
おいおい、お祭り気分って、そもそも俺。
At the festival at all, remember? Before I could say that, Rika-chan smiled at me.
ケイチはちゃんと僕の演舞見ててくれましたですか？ちゃんと見てたよ。あんなにいっぱい拍手してくれてたのに、リカちゃん気づかなかったのかな？
ケイちゃんにシオンのやつがちょっかい出してきたのを無視してね。はははは。シオン、ざまあなかった。ああ、いい気分。
Mion starts laughing at the memory as she slaps me a few times on the back.
それで、あの射的屋の対決って、結局どうなったんですか？
Tomita-kun was facing me and talking. There was nobody behind me. That meant he was talking to me?
あれは結局、富田家がビリだったのですよ。みんなで楽しく罰ゲームをしましたです。
リカちゃんも実質ビリみたいなもんだったじゃない。あそこで起死回生の大技でガムをゲットとは、さすがは我が部の部員。見事だったよ。
Crying at a time like that is a feat only Furude would be allowed to do. Oh man. Are the girls trying to cover it up for Keiichi? Like, they're totally thinking that Keiichi did something suspicious. At worst, they're thinking that he is the one who killed Teppei, in which case they're trying their best to keep Keiichi hidden by making everyone else think that he was at the festival. Said Okumura-kun, breathing heavily from his nose. In my direction, everyone left. If anyone but Rika-chan had done it, it would have been against the rules. Rika-chan gave one of her nipa smiles as she listened to it. In my direction. Rena too turned to me. No, turned towards me. And then, with a somewhat embarrassed smile, she whispered to me so only I could hear.
でも、本当にありがとね、ケイチくん。
何がだよ。
あのでっかいぬいぐるみ、すっごく嬉しかった。
Okay, I swear to God. Like, I had a pretty scary thought. Well, I wouldn't say scary, but it would have been quite a twist if Rena was gonna mention that she would thank Keiichi for showing her, like, the keychain. Because remember, in the first chapter, Keiichi showed Rena in secret like a keychain. There's no way for Rena to have known about a keychain unless Keiichi showed it to her. If she was gonna mention this like right now, oh boy, that would have been something. Like, the only way that she would have known would be if she knew of the events of chapter 1. Like, you know, being aware of other timelines kind of thing that I was talking about before. But no, thankfully not. Giant stuffed animal though? Oh. Wait. Don't tell me that she's making a sly reference to the kind of giant stuffed animal that Satoshi wanted to buy like last year. Unless she's thinking of some random stuffed animal that she saw at a festival. Which one is it? Like, what would the Rena try to accomplish here by making a reference to the giant stuffed animal that Satoshi wanted to buy last year? Like, what would she accomplish?
大事に枕元に置いてるんだよ。ちゃんと寝る前にお休みのキスしちゃった。
Yeah, that's cute. How? The class laughed at that, cheering and jeering. This whole time, the conversation had been a little bit off. I wasn't quite getting it.
ぬいぐるみがどうしたって？
どうしたって、ほら、昨日のお祭りでみんなで頑張って落としたよ。
Yeah, just go along with the Keiichi, come on.
でっかいぬいぐるみ。でっかいぬいぐるみ。
Rena seemed taken aback, but when she answered, she did it with a smile.
なかなか倒せないから額を狙ったり素早く何発も撃ったりしていろいろと試したんだよね。それでケイチくん鉄砲を何丁もあらかじめ用意して素早く撃ってみせてくれたんだよね。かっこよかった。
Wait, who was this?
あの後の飲み会でさ、町内会の会長連中にもケイちゃんの評判すごく良かったんだよ。ケイちゃんの売り工場に惚れたって騒いでたのは子供会の君吉徳蔵会長だったかな。次の祭りではぜひケイちゃんに何店舗か任せたいって言ってた。
徳蔵はお祭りの実行委員会の模擬店部長さんなのです。
Maebara-san is great at making things sound good, isn't he? Yep, whenever he talks about something, it seems a lot better than it actually is. Ha ha ha! You can't say that. Ha 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 ha!
ケイチ君って売り子さんの才能があるんだね。きっとバナナの叩き売りとかやったら上手だと思うよ。
さっきから何の話だよ。だいたい俺
Didn't go to the festival in the first place. Okay, now you're freaking me out. You know, I was thinking about Mion's remark about how Shion took a pass at Keiichi while Rika was dancing for the festival. And I was like, okay, whatever. But now Rena mentioning this stuff that happened in the last chapters, now it's time to make me question again. What the fuck? I'll swallow those words. I swear, if Rena is gonna mention the keychain, I'm gonna lose my mind. I didn't know exactly why, but in Hinamizawa, this is what had happened. Yesterday, during the Watanagashi festival, Keiichi Maebara had appeared, and he had romped about with all the usual members of his club. He made a big scene at a few of the stalls, snatched a few sticks of takoyaki and okonomiyaki in his glee, rating each of them as delicious or terrible to get everyone excited. This one too? And they'd seen a gigantic stuffed animal at the target practice game, and everyone went after it. Yeah, I remember. I remember getting like everything, including that tank right over there that I totally used to prank Satoko. And then I got a whole bunch of the quark guns, firing them in rapid succession, throwing each one after using it. And admirably, I shot down the biggest stuffed animal there. And then I gave the stuffed animal, the proof of my victory, to Rena as a gift. And then our fun came to a close as we had to go see Rika-chan's offertory dance. There was a ton of people squeezing there, and we all got separated, but we each managed to get into good positions to cheer Rika-chan on from. Then, in the middle, and Shion came up and asked me to go hang out with her instead of watching the dedication dance. I refused, and I stayed put, watching the dance until the very end. But who? Who was that? Well, everyone's been saying it, haven't they? Keiichi Maebara. I had an urge to yell in anger at my classmates for having so much fun talking about the festival yesterday with Keiichi Maebara. What the hell are you guys even talking about? Far stronger than that feeling, though, was the sheer uncanny nature of this reality I couldn't understand. A Keiichi Maebara who wasn't me was in Hinamizawa yesterday. Okay, well, Keiichi is thinking of this option, that there was a completely different Keiichi Maebara who went to the festival. It could be two options. Either it's my option where everybody is pretending that Keiichi was there when in actuality he wasn't, but they're hiding it so that no suspicion would arise from Keiichi being somewhere else, possibly killing Teppei. That, or maybe there are multiple Keiichis out there. Jesus. As I threw away my humanity, turned into a demon, and was busy beating Satoko's uncle to death. I was having a great time at the festival last night. What the hell? I had to suffer through so much, desperately holding back tears, getting so worn out in that downpour, digging holes, chasing, beating, killing, dragging, and burying. Who was this Keiichi Maebara who had ignored me so and spent such a fun, carefree time at the festival, damn it? Who the hell stood in for me as I put my life on the line working so hard to achieve this treasure-like everyday life? If there was another Keiichi Maebara beside me, then what was I? On the night of Watanagashi, where one died and one disappeared, in accordance with Oyashiro-sama's curse, there was only a demon who had killed someone. Dumbfounded, as I succumbed to a horrifying possibility, I looked around at my classmates to make sure there was nobody extra I didn't recognize among them, to make sure I wasn't among them. It was a horrifying thought that the real Keiichi Maebara hadn't overslept and had come to school on time, and that I, who was no longer Keiichi Maebara, had just waltzed in here. But no matter how much I checked, the only people here were ones I knew. The man I met every time I looked in a bathroom mirror was not here.
はい。午後の授業を始めますよ。皆さん、席に戻ってください。委員長、号令。
The teacher entered and everyone hurried back to their seats. Upon finding me, who was so stupidly late, she gave me a stern talking to, but I wasn't listening to it. Okay, also, you're not fooling me here, Higurashi. I noticed that Satoko has been quietly silent right over here. Is she even here in the first place? Wasn't our old life supposed to start today? Something wasn't right. It was just strange. I was supposed to go back to my old fun life after yesterday. I had set foot in an incomparably mysterious world. It was completely different from both my old life and my recent one. Okay, well, thinking about it, while the thing with the keychain was not mentioned, the thing about holding like multiple guns at the same time, that is something that Keiichi totally did. Is that something that any of the girls will be able to predict, though? In order to form like a fake story about Keiichi being there? Or is it really possible that another Keiichi was there and did all the stuff? Imagine if in the first chapter we were looking from the perspective of this Keiichi that they were talking about, whereas a completely separate Keiichi killed Tomitake and Takano in the first chapter in similar fashion to this Keiichi. Huh. Yes, this was, without a doubt, a different world than the one I've been living in until now. There was no way such an absurd thing could be possible. But, unless it was true, I couldn't explain anything that just happened. In this classroom, I was surrounded by so many new faces I knew, and yet I felt isolated. The cicadas sounded no different than they had been before now, but they seemed somehow false. The air was parched and dry too, making me think, was the air in Hinamizawa always this uncomfortable?
Oi, Rena.
何かな？授業中なんだよ。
昨日の祭りだけどさ、俺、いつ頃みんなと合流したっけ？
To be honest, I was pretty excited afterwards, and I gobbled down some cans of beer. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, but I don't quite remember some things. For random babbling, it wasn't a bad excuse.
ケイチ君、最初は来れないって言ってたんだよね。みーちゃんの家にそう電話したんでしょ？
That matched. I called Mia and told her to take Satoko in my place, since I wouldn't be able to meet up with them due to the things I had to do.
さとこちゃんを誘ってあげようっていうのは、みんなでお祭りの準備をしてた時に決めたんだよ。少しでもおじさんの姿の見えないところに連れ出してあげようと思って。
That was the same too. Mion said that when I called her. That everyone had already decided to invite her.
それでみんなで、レナとみーちゃんとリカちゃんで、さとこちゃんの家に行って、さとこちゃんを連れ出して。さとこちゃんのおじさん、すっごく意地悪そうな人だった。
That part didn't matter. What I was trying to ask was...
俺は、いつ合流したんだ？
そんなことも忘れちゃってるの？ケイチ君、だから祭りの前の日はよく寝た方がいいよって言ったのに。
だから、俺はいつ合流したんだよ。
with my sudden threatening demand, when I was at a loss for words. Oops. I shouldn't have rushed that. I told her I was sorry.
境内でだよ。ひょっこりと、リカちゃんと話してたじゃない。
うん。巫女さん姿のリカちゃんと楽しそうに話してた。それでレナも加わって、お持ち帰りって。
リカちゃんと話してたのか。
That's totally not something that I'm familiar with. I don't remember having like any specific talk with Rika in her shrine maiden outfit during what Tanagashi.
ケイちゃん、用事か何かがあったんじゃないって私が聞いたらさ、ケイちゃん、胸を叩きながら自分で言ったじゃないのよ。用事なんかより祭りで大暴れする方が大切だぜって。
I didn't say that. I never said anything like that. I never even went to the shrine grounds yesterday to begin with. I never had the time to stop by a place like that. I went to dig the hole as soon as I woke up. I had a pretty hard time doing it. After that, I snuck into the school and made a call. I called him out and lay in wait. And then it started raining really hard. With that kind of downpour, the festival should have come to a halt. In other words, it ended then. From the time the festival started to when it ended, it would have been impossible for me to have swung by the shrine grounds. I was already there when Mion and the others dragged Satoko out and brought her to the shrine. And I was talking to Rika-chan. Then, where would Rika-chan say we met? The teacher went out to wash her hands. So I ran over to Rika-chan's desk and asked her directly.
ケイイチとですか？
ああ、リカちゃんはミオンたちが来る前から俺と話してたんだろ。いつ俺に会ったんだ？いつどこでだよ。
ケイイチが何を聞きたいのかわからないのです。
俺昨日寝不足で半分頭がぼーっとなっててさ、何も覚えてないんだよ。
Yeah, it looked like Rika-chan bought into my babbling.
ケイイチと会ったのは集会所から村長さんたちと出てきた時なのです。ケイイチは西宮殿の扉の前にいましたのですよ。
In front of the storehouse.
何？西宮殿？
I never heard a building called that before. Or maybe I have, but at very least I wouldn't know where on the shrine ground it was.
村長さんがそこは神聖な場所だからみだりに近寄ってはならにゅうと怒りましたですよ。ケイイチ、それも忘れてしまいましたですか？
I was too scared to ask anymore. The more I asked, the more it became clear without any doubt that Keiichi Maebara was present at the Furude Shrine Grounds during the Watanagashi festival. Like, either you girls are really good at creating a story in Keiichi's absence, or maybe this whole thing is true. Because if we were to ask the mayor, for example, for what happened, and it's the same kind of story, then would the mayor even lie about this and make an excuse for Keiichi? No, he wouldn't. If you were to ask him and the same story happens, then it seals the deal that there was a Keiichi Maebara there. Huh. The clearer that became, the more doubts, no, fears I had. Who on earth was I yesterday?